Are you struggling to find inspiration for your next scrapbook project? Well, let AI be your muse. In this video, I'm showing you how AI generated this sketch to help me break through some creative blocks and open up a new world of, layout ideas. I'll walk you through how I used this custom AI sketch to design my scrapbook page.
But first, let's talk about how I came up with the design and how the whole process works. I started with the general idea in mind. I wanted to use the Halloween collection from Stampin' Up, the Spooky Suite, and I had one or two photos that I was thinking of documenting. Now I'll go through the suite in just a minute, but let's talk about this first. So I knew I wanted a single page layout that would work with either photo option. I wanted it to feel balanced, but not overly symmetrical. Something clean, simple, great for a beginner, but still with space for some fun embellishment clusters to really bring in that Halloween charm. I described my vision to AI. I used ChatGPT, including details like photo placement, journaling space, where I might want a title, and the options for a few layering elements. Within seconds, it gave me a clear sketch layout to work from. And honestly, I think, this is kind of the perfect nudge anyone needs to get going. I love that this kind of tool doesn't replace creativity. It just gives you that little push in a new direction. So once I had this sketch, I could pull out extra supplies, and now from here, let's start adapting it together to fit my photos and style using the Spooky Suite collection and a few fun, creative tweaks along the way. I decided to go with just one photo for this layout. So this year, the boys were off trick-or-treating more independently, which meant fewer chances for me to snap pictures. But I still want to get this story documented before, some of those details fade. So I'm a bit of a Halloween nerd. And did you know it's less than 100 days until Halloween? So even though it is still summer, I could happily scrapbook Halloween any time of the year. I didn't purchase the full suite. I picked up just the Spooky Suite DSP, which comes with 12 sheets in total, 2 of each of the 5 double-sided patterns. Now I've already flipped these over so we can take a quick look at the designs and all the other goodies that come with it. So I thought that this was super versatile. I can see this, using this for younger kids as well as older trick-or-treaters and, adults, because some of us like to still dress up. The paper has lots of fun details in it. We've got like a black kind of painted effect here, and it's actually got some orange kind of specks in it, or some orange diagonal lines almost. And then this side, I love it. It's got all the candy, and there's some stars and bats. And then we've got some windows, spooky windows with some cats and pumpkins in it, with the nice brick in the background, and then the white background with that same pattern, but this time going horizontal. And then we've got this orange. It all kind of has like this painterly feel to it, and this has black specks in it as well. And then these cute little characters, you could easily fussy cut these out. They're pretty cute. Then we've got tags Now, if you purchased the full suite, it would have came with some cute little grab bags, some cellophane bags, and I believe that this was supposed to be maybe some toppers for it or little tags to put in with that. And then gray, kind of that same brushed look. And then we've got some scenes you could cut out. You could put these on cards very easily, but you also could use these on scrapbook pages to create little scenes. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then beautiful pink, kind of like a crisscross pattern in there. And lots of punch outs. These are super easy to punch out and just will add so much to any layout or card. I actually printed a picture of the full suite. So since I only got the DSP, it comes with a stamp set that has some really cute sentiments on it, like Happy Halloween, no tricks, all treats, spooky, and don't worry, eat sweets, which is kind of cute. And then I love the dies that come with it, with the little haunted house, and this fence is awesome. Now, I may go back and purchase this later, but for now, I've only gotten the DSP, and I did get these glittery stars because I couldn't resist some, puffy glittery stars. It also comes with these cellophane bags, like I had mentioned. I've seen some people make some pretty cute little treats with those. And then it comes with a little ribbon as well. Now, my boys are all grown up and I don't have grandbabies yet. I'm not ready. So that's why I skipped buying the whole suite. I didn't really need the little grab bags. Now, like I had said, I do like the stamp set, but I've decided to purchase the Fright Night stamp set instead because I felt like this one was a little bit more kind of grown up, I guess you could say. And this is a cling stamp, so it's got the red rubber instead, but the dies in it are phenomenal. So I'm pretty excited to use those on this layout. I pulled out 4 pattern papers I thought might work for this layout, along with some Willow white cardstock. The sketch suggests 3 different pieces, either pattern paper or cardstock, one for the base, then a large rectangle with a square on top and the photo layered on that. Since both boys have black costumes, I thought the black pattern paper would frame the photo nicely. I like that you can see a hint of those orange flecks peeking out from behind. I'm leaning towards using the orange pattern paper for the smaller square from the sketch. And I definitely want to include that multicolored candy DSP. It is just so fun. It brings in more of the colors from the collection. So the sketch features that large square photo. It looks to me like it's 4 by 4, but mine is 4 by 5 1/4. And that's including the white border that I usually print my photos with. I didn't specify the photo size when I described my vision, and if I had, I'm sure that the sketch would have reflected that better. But that's an easy adjustment. I'll just tweak the size of the paper layers to suit my photo. Let's lay out the papers and get a visual idea of how everything will come together. Now that I'm looking at the photo on the orange pattern paper, I'm not really loving it. Evan, my youngest, looks awesome in his orange suit. It really draws attention to his costume, but it doesn't do much for Aiden, my oldest son. So I'm going to swap that out for the white pattern paper instead. It still has like the orange flecks in it, but the white base makes it way more subtle. Plus, the sketch places the title in that square piece, and I'm planning on using a stamp from my stash for the title. So stamping it directly onto the lighter background will make it easier to read. That seals it. I'm using the white paper for the square. I like this plan and I'm ready to commit, so I'll be right back with the measurements and the next steps. The candy paper is cut to 5 by 9 and the white pattern paper is trimmed to 5.5 by 7. And I matted my photo with the black pattern paper. Now that the basic design is in place, you can definitely stop here. I'm going to add one more pattern paper behind this grouping. So there's a few ways to go here. I could tuck the same black paper I used behind the photo in behind the whole block. You could even add like some mixed media or stenciling or ink splatters. I'm testing the black paper in both directions, but yeah, I don't love it. I think this layout needs a punch of color. So I'm bringing back the orange. Now, do you see how that orange just fills in the space? It adds that fun pop of color, but keeps the design still simple and clean. I'm going to trim this piece down to 10.5 by 10.5 square. That will finish off the base of this layout. Now, before I adhere everything, I'm going to ink the edges with black ink and a sponge dauber. For my title, I turned to a retired stamp set from Stampin' Up called Halloween Memories. This was available last fall alongside one of Stampin' Up's first scrapbook workshop kits. There's a lot of great title options in this set, and I'm going to use Spooky Fun, and it's going to be stamped directly onto the white pattern paper. I've actually used this set for non-Halloween pages too. To get a clean impression, I have a scrap piece of paper and a foam mat underneath to give me an even working surface. I've planned it out so that it fits perfectly in the spot. So let's go for it. I'm using black ink and a clear block that matches the same size as my stamp. I already did a test stamp off camera, so I know it's good to go. I'll line it up. That looks about right. I'll press it and hold it for a few seconds, and I always get a little nervous when I stamp directly on my page. Look at that. Perfect. See? No need to worry after all. While I was off camera, I also punched out all the laser cut ephemera and used my paper trimmer to cut apart one of the pattern papers covered in tags. Now I have a great variety of pieces to use for layering and in my embellishment clusters. Look at how cute this little cauldron is with the green kind of potion bubbles over it. I am definitely using that. I'm going to try that in the lower right-hand corner of the photo, and I'll tuck in the broom beside it to give the cluster some height. To bring that granny apple green color up at the top left, I'm thinking of using one of these tags, maybe tucked behind the white pattern paper or behind the black photo mat. The sketch shows it behind the white layer, but I kind of like it better peeking out from the black. You know, I love candy corn. Those little tricolored sweets just scream Halloween to me. I'll add a second tag with the cauldron cluster as well, just for some extra layering. It's a lot of fun having so many great embellishments to play with. I'm really excited about using the Fright Night bundle, especially this image right here. I've already mounted it onto the Misty door and removed the foam insert since I'm working with a cling stamp. It's thicker than a photopolymer, so you don't need that extra cushion. I've got a scrap of white cardstock secured inside, and I'm using black ink again. Because the stamp is large and detailed, I'm using the stamp positioner just in case I need to stamp it more than once. I want to make sure it's really well inked. The image has a slightly distressed look built into the design, so it won't stamp perfectly crisp, but I think that's kind of the charm of it. I'll cut it out with the coordinating dies, and while I'm at it, I'll also cut out a few spider webs from black cardstock. I'm not totally sure where I'll use them, but I really like them, so I'm going to make it work. I did ink the edges to give it a grungy kind of dimensional feel. Oh, and I couldn't resist cutting out a little spider to go with the webs. They're just so fun. While I had everything out, I stamped Trick or Treat on white cardstock with one of the stamps from the same set. And then I used another textured stamp, again from the same set, to give it the same worn vintage vibe. Then I cut it out using the coordinating banner die, and I inked the edges to match. I'll add that to the title so it reads Spooky Fun Trick or Treat. The sketch only has 2 clusters, so I'm going to stay true to that. I did snip off the corners of the tag to give it more of a classic tag shape, and I'll ink the edges to keep the look cohesive. Then I'm tucking the spider webs in behind the cauldron, continuing to build out the cluster with a few more bits and pieces. This photo is from Halloween 2026. Yep, as much as I love Halloween, I'm definitely behind on scrapbooking it. By the way, did you join the virtual scrapbooking retreat Stamping Up just hosted? I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the new stamp sets. I'm using the month by month alphabet to stamp the year on the tag in the upper left corner. First, I'll ink the edges and trim off the bottom half of the tag. You're not going to see that part anyway, and I can always use that somewhere else. Then I'll grab a small clear block and stamp one number at a time. The stamp set from the kit didn't include cases, but I had a few extras on hand and placed the stamp in those. Starting with number 2, I placed the stamp face down on a flat surface, then I picked it up with the block. And of course, I'm using black ink again. Let's just nudge the layout up a smidge to give me a little bit more room to stamp. I'm stamping one number at a time instead of trying to line them up straight on one block. There's extra polymer around each stamp, which makes it hard to space them the way I want. I find stamping one at a time faster and easier in the long run. I'm cleaning each stamp after I use it, placing it back on the carrier sheet so I don't lose any. This Halloween was the year of masks, which made it tough for the boys to see. Aiden, my oldest son, wanted to dress up as the Question. I had never heard of that character before. He was really into like obscure superheroes that year. So he showed me a picture and we started piecing items together. Figuring out how to create that, expressionless face was a bit of a challenge, but I think it turned out pretty great. Evan wanted to be Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy. Other than placing the faux fur on his arms a little low, I think that one came together nicely too. The boys were thrilled, and honestly, that's really all that matters. Off camera, I printed my journaling using a Word document, formatted in a text box to the size I wanted. I adjust the line spacing to 1.5. I printed it onto white cardstock and then I cut it into strips, just like the sketch showed. Next, I'm popping up a few of the elements with dimensionals. I did speed this up quite a bit, and I've already attached the base layers to the layout, including the tags and the spider webs in the lower right cluster. I'm using a good amount of foam pieces to prevent the embellishments from collapsing once the layout is in the album. I'm placing dimensionals under the cauldron, the trick or treat banner, and that stamps sign. I'll remove the adhesive backing off camera. Now I'm adding a few candy corns to repeat the yellow from the broom in the upper left corner, and maybe this pumpkin in the lower right to bring in a touch of orange. I always love adding little verbal details. There's already lots of words on this layout, but I couldn't resist stamping "say cheese" onto the tag. kind of funny considering we can't actually see their faces. I punched a small hole in the tag and tied in black and white twine from my stash, just a little fun detail. For sparkle, I'm using the black glittery stars and placing them in groups of 3 around the clusters and the title. While I'm doing that, I just want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. I recently hit an amazing milestone, 1,000 subscribers. I am so grateful for this growing community and all your support. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Just for fun, I might go back in with a black journaling pen and add some sketchy lines around the outside edges. But for the sake of keeping it clean and simple, I'm leaving it as is for now. That's always a great option, though if you want to add, a little something. This layout is a very simple, beginner-friendly, single-page spread inspired by AI. Let me just grab the sketch again. I stayed true to the design other than the addition of the orange pattern paper square in the background. I just felt like it needed one more layer. I kept the embellishment clusters in the same areas along with the title and the journaling strips. I'm thrilled with how this came together. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this project, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Here's a close-up of the layout. Don't you just love those spider webs? I'd love to hear what your kids or grandkids, or even you, dressed up as for Halloween, or plan to this Halloween. Let me know in the comments below. I'm so excited I reached 1,000 subscribers, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. For still shots, head over to my Instagram page, and here's a video you may like to watch next. Until next time, happy crafting, and keep telling your stories one page at a time.